number 32, the faller there, I think, was Tim Ball. Tim Ball was off the Kawasaki, but it's one of the Nortons leading. Looks like it's Moody in second place, Norton in first. Third place is Michael Rutter, number 8, and Rutter looking at the inside. But the race leader, Ian Simpson, championship leader and race leader, Ian Simpson. The fallers then, number 32, Tim Ball, David Jeffers ran into the curve. Alongside me, Steve Parrish. That paddock hill bend always a tricky one, Steve.
Yeah, it's a very tricky start here at Brands Hatch. The corner tightens up a great deal, and it was just unfortunate. It looked like Tim Ball just went in there a bit wrong. Unfortunately for David Jeffers here, he got on the grass, nothing he can do about it. For this man, number 25, Ian Simpson, he'll be very, very chuffed with that start. And leading the championship is just what he needed.
Simpson leading. In second place, number 3, Jim Moody. Number 2, I beg your pardon, third in the championship. Then it's Phil Borley, number 30, in third. In fourth place, number 8, Mike Rutter on the yellow Ducati. So Rutter getting quicker and quicker, but look at Simpson. So right with him, Moody, Ian Simpson then. We are on bike with Ian Simpson.
We're on bike coming into Paddock Hill Bend. He's changed from 6th gear down into 5th gear, down to 4th now. He'll accelerate as they come up towards Druids Hill Bend. Down 2 gears as he turns it in tight, keeping tight into the right-hand side. You'll see him start accelerating. The rev counter coming up now. Drifts out to the left, back to the right as they come up to this fast downhill left-hand Graham Hill Bend along the bottom straight as they come up towards Surtees corner, which is a 3rd gear corner. He's shifting down through the gears. You can see the rev counter coming round this corner onto the fastest part of the circuit here. Now accelerates out of 3rd gear. Hard on the power. You see the red line there up to the red line. 4th, 5th, short shift, 6th gear now, approaching 165 miles an hour at this point on the circuit.
Well, I think it's significant that Simpson was a second off the pace as far as Ball is concerned, because Borley now is closing hard on the rear end of Jim Moody, and the number 30 rider on the Norton in third place goes very, very well here at Brands Hatch. He comes from Southend. It's not a million miles away. One could almost say it's Borley's local circuit. Charging hard, number 19 there immediately behind is Andy Stroud, the New Zealander, on the second of the Yamahas. So the Yamaha team looking pretty strong with 2 bikes running in the top 5. Moody then being dropped away just a fraction by Ian Simpson as they come onto the straight. Look at Borley, Phil Borley, number 30, going for second place. He's on the inside, coming towards Paddock Hill Bend. Through goes Borley. Another Norton 1-2. Early days yet, Steve, but they are phenomenally quick.
Yeah, that was just a horsepower move. He had the inside line as he exited clearways and just used that horsepower from the Norton as he passed Moody. Had the speed before they even got on the brakes for Paddock Hill Bend. But now he's going to be the man to watch. This is his local circuit, as you said earlier, Barry, and he's going to be charging. The fastest lap's gone to Ian Simpson, 1:30.58, but that's over a second off the lap record held by Jim Whitten from last year. But Borley, I think, is going to be the man that's pushing now.
Yeah, the record, good point, actually held, as Steve said, by James Whitter, 129.5, 104.85 miles an hour. Well, Simpson, the race leader, has already gone round a second quicker than his qualifying time, so he obviously had something left in his back pocket, but it's a Norton 1-2 Borley now. Well, Simpson was quoted last weekend as saying, "You wouldn't believe we were riding for the same team, because no holds barred, the competition between the Norton men. A great ride by the 4th place man Rutter. Llewellyn going well. There's Nick Hopkins 37. There's Hislop and McCallan going through. And the race leaders, Borley now just taking a look at Ian Simpson's Norton as it shakes its head into clearways onto the start-finish straight. Very, very warm and humid here at Brands. Ideal racing conditions. A slight breeze, enough to keep us cool, that's for sure. But look at Borley beginning to drop away now from Moody, and he knows how quick these bikes are because he was riding them last year.
Yeah, I think Jim Moody's very frustrated. He did have pole position, but the speed of these Nortons, and they're really suited for this circuit. The Norton has always been very fast, but it had that recalcitrant chassis that just didn't seem to work. But now Colin Seeley and Brian Crichton have worked extremely hard, and they really have got that motorcycle working so well. It's really a 5-year-old design. Twin shocks, which was said never to be able to work, and and so really it's a very much a dated motorcycle, but it really is working extremely well. And you can see Borley, he's eyeing up Simpson at the moment. Borley number 30, I would say, was put up the fastest lap, and he's gone for the inside, and he's gone through. Yes, he's gone through right there at the end of the straight, Hawthorne Bend, 160 miles an hour, breaking down to about 100 miles an hour, but he is fast. Borley is the man on the move.
Well, that fast straight is really where the Norton power comes into its own. Ian Simpson is fighting back, and Reed takes the lead. These two really going at it. Ian Simpson ran wide over the curb coming through, but Jim Moody just waiting there to pick up any crumbs that might fall off the table, because this Norton pair really scrapping here. A look over the shoulder from Phil Borley, and right there looming large in his mirrors, if he had any, would be Jim Moody, and Moody is just one bike length away now. Race leader, the 25-year-old Ian Simpson, who started his racing career at 16. He was the 1991 600cc Supercup champion, and you may remember that well if indeed you were watching that particular year of 600cc class racing. He's still good on the 600, but since putting this leg over the Norton machine this year, Ian Simpson has really come into his own, as indeed has Phil Borley. It's now becoming a three-man race. Number 8, Michael Rutter, is being dropped away, but he's still there in 4th. Still in 5th place, it's number 6, Matt Llewellyn. But the number 25, Norton, of Ian Simpson, having been headed briefly by teammate Phil Borley, still leads.
Yeah, well, these two really want to be a little careful, and I'm sure Colin Seeley in the pits there will be thinking the last thing they need to be doing is tripping over each other, getting into a race situation, because it's allowing number 2, Jim Moody, to stay with them. The best thing I think Phil Borley can do at this point is follow Ian Simpson, get a toe off him, and just try and get some space between him and number 2, Jim Moody. But he has to be a bit careful, because the new ACU ruling says that if there's an incident, the race can be stopped and the result counts after 50% of the race. So sometimes it's no point in waiting too long in the race. Borley's having another look on the inside, but really they just don't need to be slowing each other up. It would give Moody that chance.
Just remind you, this is round 9 of an 11-round series. 2 750cc races. In front again goes Borley. A beautiful passing manoeuvre again. So this pair now swapping places at the front of this 12-lap race. There is another leg to come in this 750cc class, and there are 20 points up for grabs in each of the races. 20 points then for the win, 17 for second. Top 6, Andy Stroud still there in 6th place. Mike Rutter pushing hard in 4th, but this the 1, 2, 3, and Jim Moody seems to have found something special on the Yamaha, Steve. He really is staying with them, and the Yamaha, which has been off the pace for the rest of the season, seems to have found something special.
Well, this Grandstand long circuit is very much about getting a motorcycle to handle and a throwing circuit. Jim Moody's got that Yamaha working extremely well. He's very fast through the corners, but you can see every time they get to a straight section, they lose out because has that horsepower advantage. Moody did have a look there. He came out of Dingledale very fast there and had a look, but once again, I think the two Norton riders are holding each other up. Borley is in front now, and I think he's going to be the quicker guy. He's just put up the fastest lap, 1:30.28, but still nearly a second slower than lap rep. Whether or not he has anything left, we're going to see now. He has a clear track in front of him. Number 30, Phil Borley, being chased extremely hard.
Last year's champion, of course, James Whittam, has gone on to World Superbike duty, so the man second in last year's championship is running in 3rd place in this particular race and ran just a little bit wide on that right-hander. So number 2, Jim Moody, lost a fraction of a second off the leading duo. He drifted a little bit wide. He was late going in and has paid the price. So the red Yamaha, the number 2 Yamaha of Moody, has got to do it all over again to get on the back end of the Norton of Ian Simpson, who led the race early on. Simpson, with 6 wins already, would desperately like to win this one, and obviously the rest of the races in the series. He has proved to be the quicker of the 2 Norton teamsters so far this season, but towards the end of the year, Phil Borley is coming really well.
Yeah, well, certainly number 2, Jim Moody, is going to pay the penalty for that slight mistake, because he's lost the toe, he's lost lost the slipstream. That was the only way he had a chance of staying in touch with these very fast Nortons in a straight line, and I think now he's going to be working very hard. You'll see through the twisty sections here, he's closing, he's right with them as they go through the slow Stirling's Bend there. He's going to accelerate now as they come up towards Clearways, but he needs to be very close. Number 2, Jim Moody in third spot. He needs to be really, really close as they come onto the straights. He's never going to pass him down the straights, but if he can be close enough, he can get a slipstream, but I don't think he is.
We are over halfway then in this 12-lap race, and just to remind you, the race leader, number 30 from Southend, Phil Borley on the north. His teammate with 6 wins already, Ian Simpson from Dalbeattie, number 25, is in second. In third place, the Glaswegian Jim Moody with only 2 wins so far this season, and has done relatively nothing in the series against these Nortons in the second half of the year, but is now poised maybe just to turn the tables on the Norton pair, and he might well be saving something with his Trackcraft of Brands Hatch in the back of his mind, and the tail enders coming up then to lap tail enders, and the tail ender number 83, Danny Daru from London, is about to be zapped by this trio, and let's hope it'll be interesting to see which way they go. Always a tricky time.
Yeah, it certainly is. The last thing you need is a back marker to get in your way, but having said that, Borley's got through. He's got through before the Dingle Dell section, so that's going to do him a real favour. That's going to give him a space, because there's no way number 25 and number 2 can get through there. So Borley has managed to extend his lead. That's just what he needed, but Jim Moody, number 2 in third spot, is all over number 25 Ian Simpson.
On the 8th lap, this is the battle then for second place. Number 25 is in second. The number 2 Yamaha, which seems to be wobbling just a little bit there. It's almost as though Jim Moody, the number 2 rider, found a rough part of the circuit. But another tail ender has been passed by Phil Borley. So Borley now is gathering momentum. He's pulling away. He's getting tail enders between himself and the chasing second man, and up towards the slowest part of the circuit. Druids, round goes Simpson, round goes Moody. Second and third place, these 2 men, and the leader, Phil Borley, now stretching that advantage to something in the region of 100 yards. There's Borley. Second place then Simpson, 1.5 seconds the gap, and Borley appears to be making this one his.
Well, he was very lucky. He didn't use the back markers. They just came to him in the right place as they approached the Dingledale Twisty chicane section there. He just got a back marker between him and number 25 we're looking at here in second spot, and number 2 Jim Moody in third spot, and that just allowed him to extend that distance. Neither of them can now get in the slipstream, so we're looking at number 30 there. There's here into shot comes number 25 Ian Simpson in third place, number 2, and Moody again having a look around the outside. There's no question that Jim Moody is the faster guy on the corners. Here we come, number 25 Ian Simpson, and Jim Moody is all over him on the corners. He's going to have a look down the inside. I think if he's going to make a pass, it's going to have to be possibly into Paddock Hill Bend on the inside, but the only way he's going to do that is by getting the slipstream from number 25 in second spot here, Ian Simpson.
Well, the Yamaha team manager Rob McElnay was saying earlier that it's almost becoming a bit of a habit now, this Norton 1-2, and he would dearly like the Yamaha to at least split the Nortons, if not win the race. And I think Jim Moody, the number 2 Yamaha rider, who is the leading rider in that particular team, is in with a real chance now as they approach a tail ender number 42 being lapped, and that's Tony Jimenez from London, and he's getting in the way. They're going either side of him, and the rider sits up, but through go the second and third place men. But as I was saying, there's a real opportunity, I think, now for Jim Moody stalking Ian Simpson, the number 25 Norton, for that second place. If Moody can get second, I'm not convinced there's a chance that he can get on terms now with Phil Borley. Borley, yet another fastest lap, is storming away on the Norton. Simpson now, his work is being cut out, I think, to keep the Yamaha at bay.
It certainly is, but Jim Moody, all he can do is close that gap. He just can't get close enough to, on the straight sections he loses it, and all he can do when he gets to the corners is make up that deficit. And you saw there, number 25 Simpson had a slide, so maybe he has a tyre problem. He's certainly working hard, and Moody is pushing as they come through the Dingledale section again. Moody will have a look on the inside here, but no, he can't do it. Down into the third gear corners, they hard on the power, but once again you'll just see that Norton, number 25, Ian Simpson, stretch his advantage as soon as they come to the straights.
Phil Borley, number 30, leading the man who made his name on 6 600cc motorcycles for so many years, riding in the European and the British Championships, featuring very, very well here on the Supercup series, is leading then. This battle you are watching is for second place, and it's about two Scotsmen. It's about Ian Simpson, number 25, and Jim Moody riding number 2, and I'm not sure which way this is going to go. The yellow and blue Norton is just that little bit quicker in a straight line, but Jim Moody, I think, knows that to get the Yamaha into second place, and if he does that, it'll only be the second time this season, I beg your pardon, the third time. He's had 2 runner-up spots, he's only had 2 wins, and he's had to settle for second best so many, many times to the Norton. A tail ender then. Number 78 being lapped is Mickey Davidson from Kingston-on-Thames. Look at that, Michael Rutter still there, Matt Llewellyn and Andy Stroud 17 seconds away. 15 seconds just behind his teammate, but 17 seconds off the leader. Race leader Borley, number 30. Second still Simpson. Moody, that's a tail ender. And these 3 in a very, very unchallenged position, because Michael Rutter is 8 seconds adrift in 4th.
And once again the back markers came into it. Ian Simpson was able to nip through, and he's stretched that advantage over Jim Moody. I really can't see Jim Moody making up that deficit now. Ian Simpson is laying black lines there as he exits Clearways Corner to start his last lap. So you've got to remember these Nortons are considerably lighter than the Yamaha, weighing something in the region of 145 kilograms as opposed to 160 kilograms of the Yamaha, which is a dispensation given to the Norton machine. So Jim Moody's doing a great job, but I really can't see him making this up unless number 25 in second spot we're looking at now, Ian Simpson, makes some sort of a mistake. But he is on his last lap now.
1.5 miles of the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit for Phil Borley, number 30. In second place then, heading for another Norton 1-2, his teammate Ian Simpson riding 25. And in third place, a very, very frustrated Jim Moody, who has tried everything in his kit bag to get into at least second place in this race, and has been thwarted on every occasion by Ian Simpson, and it looks as though it's going to be a Norton double, unless, as Steve Parrish said, some misfortune befalls the second place man, Ian Simpson. Moody closing though, having a charge, he's right there, as close as he's been. Through goes the race leader, the battle for second is hotting up. Moody number 2 right on the back wheel of Ian Simpson, and it's going to be a sprint all the way down as they head now towards Clearways, under the bridge into Clearways, the race leader Phil Borley. Borley then on his way. Number 30, the checkered flag is in sight for Phil Borley. Another win for the man from Southend, and Ian Simpson gets second. Third place Jim Moody. A terrific race, but there was absolutely nothing more Moody could do. Confirmation of the win, number 30, Phil Borley. Confirmation of that result, Borley from Simpson, Moody, Rutter rode steadily to 4th, Llewellyn and Andy Stroud. That moves Borley then on into a good situation, very close, just 5 points adrift from his teammate, Jim Moody hanging on in 3rd, and the others still there.
Well, we'll have the second leg of the Superbikes coming up a little later on in the programme, but I do have some unfortunate motorcycling news to bring you from Brands Hatch this afternoon. There was an accident at the restart of the 250cc race which left Gary Walker of Wisbech seriously injured. He did respond to treatment on the track before being taken by helicopter to a London hospital where he is receiving further medical treatment. We will of course keep you up to date with his condition if we hear any more. We of course all wish him well. Well, just to remind you before we move on that we do have the touring cars coming up shortly, but first at Lord British Supercup Championships at Brands Hatch. And earlier in the first leg of the Superbikes, that was won by Phil Borley. We can now return for the second leg. We join it at the start.
Leg 2 of the TT Superbike class here from Brands Hatch will be run over 9 laps, and a very pensive Jim Moody, knowing that with a 29-point deficit, he has a job and a half to do. With only 20 points available for the win, clearly he can't take the lead in the championship at the end of this race. This man, however, maintaining his unbroken record now in the top 3 in the last 12 of these races. Phil Borley proving that Brands Hatch is very much his own circuit. Number 6, Matt Llewellyn, carrying a rear-facing camera, incidentally, for us in the back half of his Ducati, living up to his qualifying position with a top 5 finish in leg 1. So Llewellyn may be hoping to get the Ducati ahead of the series leader, Ian Simpson, number 25, with a 5-point margin over his teammate Borley. So the two Nortons reigning supreme here at Brands. Completing the front row, the 22-year-old Mike Rutter from Stourbridge in the Midlands, riding the number 8 Ducati. Michael Rutter as well finished in the top 5. So there were no surprises in leg 1, but the championship now with that 5-point gap, as you can see. Simpson from Borley, Moody with a fair bit of work to do, Andy Stroud, the New Zealander, sitting there. But any one of those top 5 could mathematically still win before the end of the season. 9 laps then the distance. The TT Superbike class lining up here in the sunshine at Brands Hatch on the full 2.6 mile Grand Prix circuit. Front row reminder, Moody on pole, Phil Borley, Matt Llewellyn, Ian Simpson and Mike Rutter riding number 8 on the second of the 2 Ducatis. The green line, a wheelie in the air for Jim Moody, and that cost him vital seconds, because Mike Rutter, number 8 it is, with a cracking start for the 22-year-old from the inside of the front row to take the lead. Mike Rutter, number 8 on the yellow McCulloch Ducati out there. Through in front though, Ian Simpson, number 25, hoping to reverse the pasting he had from his teammate in race 1. Ian Simpson leads, Jim Moody it is on the number 2 Yamaha in 3rd place. But a good start for Michael Rutter, riding number 8 in 2nd. Mike Rutter it is in 2nd, number 25, race leader Ian Simpson in the sunshine. Matt Llewellyn, number 6, is in there as well. And the top 6, you can see just how close it is, but already Ian Simpson stretching away. Yeah, and Ian will be very keen to get an advantage over his main rival, I guess, Phil Borley, who had an appalling start. He's way back down in about 8th place at this moment. So Ian Simpson now is on the charge, and he'll be just trying to stretch that advantage. Behind him, number 8, Michael Rutter, who I don't think, and we see him coming through Dingle Dell at this point, and you see number 19 there going very, very wide. That was Andrew Stroud on the Yamaha. There was a very good start for Steve Hislop, who's running now in 5th place on the Honda. The Honda team had a miserable first leg. In fact, they both started on the second row, both Hislop and the number 11, Phil McCallan, and neither of them were able to get in the top 6. So if Hislop can get a result for Honda, that will be a good day's work for him. Norton lead though, however. Yamaha, Hislop's up there still in 5th. A good start for Hislop. Ian Simpson 25. Michael Rutter having one of the best races so far this season. Mike Rutter has been incredibly consistent, only not having finished 2 of the 17 races in the series so far in the 94 season. So Michael Rutter going from strength to strength, and a young man, I suspect, Steve, with a bright future. Yeah, very much so. He switched to the V-twin Ducati this year, and he's number 8 here, the V-twin Ducati. Behind him is number 2, Jim Moody, who's looking for the inside line. He's on the inline 4-cylinder Yamaha, but he couldn't quite do it as they went into Hawthorne Corner. But in the first 3, you see, we have Ian Simpson out in front on the rotary Norton. Behind him, number 8, we're looking at now on the Ducati. That's Michael Rutter, and behind him, number 2, Jim Moody on the inline 4-cylinder Yamaha. Moody again looks for the inside as they come up to Dingle Dell, and he's taken it. Jim Moody's snuck through there. Number 2, Moody into 2nd spot on the Yamaha. Up into 5th place as well has come number 9, David Jeffries. So David Jeffries, who tumbled in leg 1, is up to 5th. He's got past the Honda of Steve Hislop. Running now with Ian Simpson, and I guess the specialist knowledge of Steve Parrish will come into play here. Well, they're coming over the start and finish line here at this point, up into 5th gear, 145 miles an hour, down 1 gear, snick into 3rd gear for Paddock Hill Bend. As you see, it's downhill section here, accelerating now on the power, coming up towards Druids Hill Bend at this point. This is the slowest corner on the circuit, into 2nd gear. Using the line here as he drifts left, pulls it back to the right-hand side here. Now they're coming down here
through the Graham Hill bend, along bottom bend before they get to Surtees.
25 Norton, and there's the number 30 Norton of Phil Borley. So Phil Borley is out at Westfield, second place in the championship. Phil Borley is out. So that's something of a catastrophe for the Norton team. We are back, however, with Ian Simpson, who will now gallop on to an increased championship lead over his teammate, that's for sure. But it does open the door, Steve, for the Yamaha team again.
Well, it really does, and that really has opened the door for Jim Moody, but more importantly, it's going to extend the lead that Ian Simpson has. Now, I know it was his teammate that fell down, but he's been keen to win this championship, so it really has given him quite an extensive lead at this point. Number 25 we're looking at there. There's number 2, Jim Moody, who's been straight into the second spot.
5th place still David Jeffries from Shipley, and a good result for him now. Of course, that Borley's retirement has elevated Jeffries and everybody behind him 1 place up the table. Hislop is now well and truly behind David Jeffries and coming under some pressure from Chris Haldane, the other of the 2 New Zealanders. Race leader 25. Jim Moody is number 2 in second. In third place, it's number 6, Matt Llewellyn on the Ducati. Then it's Michael Rutter. But there's Jim Moody, third place in the championship at the moment, runner-up last year, riding the Norton, so he knows all about the Norton power. And Matt Llewellyn on the Ducati is on a charge.
Yeah, Matt certainly is. He's been riding extremely well, and he's right there tucked in behind Jim Moody as they come out onto the main fastest straight of the circuit. They'll now go up through the gears right the way into 6th gear, reaching the speed of about 160 miles an hour at this point. Matt Llewellyn's trying to get in the slipstream of Jim Moody on the Yamaha. So here we are. Number 6 there, Matt Llewellyn, who is on the V-twin Ducati, chasing number 2, Jim Moody on the Yamaha. And they're coming round up towards the Dingledale section here, which is a very, very fast chicane section, which is taken with, looking here now, the bike goes very light as they crest the rise. They're using every bit of the track.
Matt Llewellyn then, 27 years of age, the number 6 Ducati rider in third place, with a wealth of experience, having ridden Yamaha for a number of years, but since acquiring this Ducati, largely courtesy of Joe Meakin, who has financed him for the past 3 years, Llewellyn has really hit top form, and he is now right in the wheel tracks of the second place man and third in the championship, Jim Moody. Moody's fellow Scot, Ian Simpson, number 25, not pulling away. They're all closing down, and they're in 4th place, Michael Rutter, number 8. So you're looking at the race leader. The battle for second place, you can see that Moody has put in a fastest lap. He's closing now on the race leader. There's Mike Rutter, number 8, ever watchful, just sitting there, knowing that he's on the pace. He qualified on the front row. He lived up to that qualifying place in leg 1 when he came home in 5th. He's now sitting in 4th, largely due to the fact that Phil Borley on the other extremely rapid Norton is not in the top 4. In fact, Borley has retired, as we pointed out to you. Simpson now coming under some pressure. Matt Llewellyn dropping back just a little bit into the clutches of the 4th place man. But Jim Moody has got the bit between his teeth, and he would desperately need a result. What do you think, Steve?
Most certainly, but this was the battle we saw in leg 1. Jim Moody was very, very close to Ian Simpson at that point, but it was then for second place. Now we're looking for the battle for the lead. And there's a crash down. I think there's Michael Rutter. Michael Rutter, who was in 4th spot at the time, he's fell down. Luckily okay, but the machine is obviously in the sand trap there.
Well, that's bad news for Mike Rutter. We were saying just how consistent he was. Michael Rutter walking away very disappointed, looking as though he might have knocked his left leg as he came off. But of course that now elevates David Jeffries up into 4th place, and that's looking like a good result.
Yeah, and we're coming in through a 3rd gear corner at this point. There's the leaders. Michael Rutter, there he goes. He's lost it before he got to the corner. I can only assume he just locked the machine up, either too much front brake, too much rear brake, and he lost it way before he even got to the corner.
Touch of over-exuberance put Michael Rutter in the sand trap, but his race is over then, certainly. But a good result in leg 1. He won't go home totally dejected, but obviously a little disappointed. Meanwhile, Simpson now leading from number 2, Jim Moody. Matt Llewellyn really sensing that 3rd place might be not just good enough, he might be able to grab second, and who knows, the way Matt Llewellyn's riding at the moment, even a win could be on the cards. Ian Simpson waving the Norton flag all on his own now that his teammate has left the scene, as it were, and these three now out clear from David Jeffries, who's running in fourth place, 5.5 seconds adrift. Chris Haldane, the number 12 New Zealander, is behind Jeffries, and Andy Stroud, fellow New Zealander, completing another good ride for Yamaha in 6th place. So Stroud drafted into the team halfway through the season, proving to be a good backstop.
Yeah, very much so. He's a very steady type of character, but he really can ride. And in the rain yesterday in qualifying, he was fastest out here at the Brands Hatch circuit. But number 25, Ian Simpson. I was expecting him to stretch this advantage, but Jim Moody is really, really pushing hard. And he's there in second spot behind him. So we have Norton, Yamaha and Ducati. Here we are on bike at Druids Hill corner, the slowest corner on the circuit, second gear, short shifting up into third, snicking fourth as he comes down now through the left-hander Graham Hill bend, along what is known as Cooper Straight, but it's really just a fast left-hand bend accelerating up here as they come round now into the third gear Surtees corner for the fastest section on this circuit.
Simpson then, as you can see, beautifully sunny day here at Brands Hatch on the 2.6 Grand Prix circuit, and don't go away for a cup of tea because this is a short, sharp dash. It's only 9 laps total. We have completed well over 6 laps and coming into the closing stages of this race, and there are back markers already ahead of Ian Simpson. I think Jim Moody could well try and produce something. He really will have to work very hard, but Simpson going round the outside and across the curb to get past the number 83 back marker, and that was Danny Daru of London.
That was a very brave move there from Ian Simpson. Obviously he needed to take that chance because he couldn't afford to be held up at the section there at all, but he really had to run extremely wide and was very lucky to control the machine. He could have easily have just run wide on the curb.
5, 6, 7 machine lengths then separate Jim Moody, the number 2 Yamaha, from Ian Simpson, the race leader. Simpson, who came home in runner-up spot in leg 1, leading this one, the penultimate lap then of a very shortened race here at Brands, but Simpson with a Norton in front, Moody, and Matt Llewellyn is there. He's just there all the time. Llewellyn might try and produce something, but I don't know. The Norton is phenomenally quick. It might not just be possible.
Well, I don't think it is really, but there's certainly James Whittam's lap record of last year, which is nearly 1 second quicker than they've been doing here today. That's very safe for him, but it looks as though Ian Simpson here, number 25, now he has about a half a second cushion over number 2 Jim Moody, and I think that's quite enough. He's on his penultimate lap, and he looks now to be stretching his advantage. This is a beautifully prepared machine. It's run by Brian Crichton, who's engineered the team as such, and Colin Seeley, who is the chassis builder from many years back, and they've really got this machine working extremely well. We're back on bike here. You see on the right-hand side, that's the temperature gauge. On the left is the rev counter, and as he's shifting here, he's coming through the Dingledale section. You'll see the revs go up as they blip the throttle to change down. The revs are dropping now, third gear. You'll see the acceleration, the front wheel possibly come light at this point into fourth. Just snicking fifth gear as you brake now down into fourth for Clearways corner before you accelerate hard again. A bit of a negative camber at this point. Now picking up speed right the way up to about 140 miles an hour before we cross the start and finish line now.
1 lap remaining then. On his last lap, Ian Simpson from Dalbeattie with his nose firmly in front. The gap now over half a second from Jim Moody on the number 2 red, very, very distinctive Yamaha, who's closing. He put in a charge halfway through the race and got firmly on the rear end of the Norton ahead of him, but was unable to close to a passing position. And I think Jim Moody in second place will have to accept now that Simpson is possibly uncatchable. Ian Simpson now on the bottom part of the circuit, sweeping up, hurtling away down Simpson, Moody, and still Matt Llewellyn very much in touch. Away they go. Half a lap to do now for Simpson in the sunshine. Steve, a last quick word. Another great display by Norton.
Yeah, it really is. This team has really come of age now. It was always said that the bike was fast, but it didn't handle, but now it looks as steady as anything out there on the circuit, and Ian Simpson is riding it so very, very well. And he's just able to cruise to the finish at this point. He has some back markers in front of him, but I don't honestly think they're going to affect him. He's only got this last clearways corner now before he'll see the start and finish line, and that's the end of the race.
Checkered flag being readied then for Ian Simpson. And across the line goes Simpson, despite the tail enders. Jim Moody, number 2, came home second. A brave and very, very well calculated ride by Matt Llewellyn. Simpson is jubilant. He's looking back because he's not quite sure where his teammate is or indeed what happened to him. Phil Bawley sadly out of the race at half distance, but Ian Simpson took the win. Confirmation then of that second leg result. Indeed, Ian Simpson from Jim Moody, Matt Llewellyn, David Jeffries a good fourth, Chris Haldane and fellow New Zealander Andy Stroud completed the top 6. Standings after round 9 are looking very much like a Norton benefit. Ian Simpson out there, 2:52 still from Bawley, Moody closing, but they're in third, Llewellyn, Rutter and Andy Stroud, a very respectable ride for Yamaha.
And that completes our coverage from the British Supercup Championships at Brands Hatch, where earlier today Gary Walker of Whiz Beach was seriously injured at the start of the 250cc race. He was taken by helicopter to hospital, and we have no further news. He is still there receiving medical treatment. But now let's bring you up to date with other news from today, and we start